Welcome back to part two of a two-part series with my buddy Ryan here. We've been covering a couple different topics, but mostly about our terrible working experience together. But thank you so much for coming. If you haven't seen part one, you have to check it out, or else none of this is going to make sense. The link is in the description. Also, I want to plug his up-and-coming business. Be on the lookout for that. It's called Good Living. Links to his Instagram and his co-founders will also be in the description. So check it out and enjoy. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a part of it. Being scared to change is difficult. I talked about it with my wife, thought it out, and, prayed about it definitely. And at the end of the day, I still feel like I made the right decision to hang on. Because there's a lot of friends like you and Jason, and there's a very few others. But I know that if I called them and I needed something, that you guys would have my back. And I hope you feel the same way about me. I know that you didn't like me at the beginning, but
we're pretty good friends now. Yeah, and definitely towards the end, I think we all got a lot closer because it was trimming the fat, so to speak. And it's like, well, we need the people that are essential to running this in business. And it was me, you, and a handful of others. And it was like, well, we're the last ones at the table,
the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
I mean, we went through a lot together. The few of us. I mean, like I was talking about, you worked your way up into that supervisory type role, definitely a lead role, but it was more of that towards the end. But and you were able to be in those meetings towards the end before everybody was slowly,
I love those meetings.
Those are my favorite. We had a lot of closed door meetings. Some of them lasted a long time.
I think the longest one was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, they were trying to, in retrospect, include us at the beginning. When we started doing these meetings, they wanted to include us in the decisions. Mm-hmm. But then I started to realize, as I've covered before, I overanalyze everything. I started to quickly understand that they were trying to pass the guilt.
Yeah. It was always the reason why it was failing is because we're not hitting our numbers, and it was like we're putting up phenomenal numbers.
Right,
put them against last year's numbers were doubled.
Right,
and we were doing great.
And some of our managers left when it started to get rough. And I know you have your own opinion about those individuals. Oh, yeah. My opinion did change. I did lose some respect for that individual, right? Definitely, and I can't hide that. That's definitely true. I understand the reason why he left.
It could have been done a lot better.
The way it was handled is why.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he was supposed to be like he ran the show for us, but the only person he answered to was your other boss you had in the office.
Right.
They answered to each other, kind of thing, letting know where each other was at, and then the owner of the company was Bill Myers. Other than that, I get you have responsibilities, but just tell us hey, it's looking bleak.
Right.
Because we had his number 2 when he got back from all of his
health conditions.
His health conditions stuff. He was telling me, he was like, get out of here while you can. It's not looking good.
Right. I mean, that individual ended up moving back to Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And he's so much better off, apparently.
Yeah,
he's doing a lot better.
Stress is a lot better, I'm sure.
I think it's the air. I don't think he could hang with the heat.
Yeah, that's true. It's different down here. But yeah, the main individual, the manager, left. Like I said, I did lose some respect for the way he handled it.
Yeah,
but
and
I totally got he
that
wasn't paid for like 6 months.
Right, and at the end of that,
ridiculous.
But when you invest in a company, he was a part owner, wasn't he?
He was a partial owner, but like I said, I understand. I went back and forth, especially on those 7 months. I thought about lots of things.
Plenty of time.
Right. I battled with depression. I battled with anger, obviously. But I worked my way out of it. We're talking to people like Josh regularly, and we talked a lot, and Jason as well. Just trying to work things out. And that's really important to do. Because, I'm a very verbal person, as,
he loves to talk.
Doing this podcast, but also I like to listen too. And one of the things I realized is I just needed to not bottle things up and get it out. So I needed to specifically cover how I was feeling, not just what I thought.
Right.
And
see, I'm an Irishman. I think I just bottle up everything, and then one day, I'll die, and then it's over.
Right. Well, I mean, that's one way to look at it. That's one perspective. But yeah, I just, I forgave, and that individual was one of the people that I forgave for the way that it was handled. Like I said, I understand why the decision was made. I don't agree with the way it was handled, and it put us a lot worse off.
At the end of the day, I mean, he wasn't him doing what he did isn't the nail in the coffin that sealed the deal for us to not have a job.
It was not at
but
all.
That was my thing is like, you're supposed to have our backs. You tell us, I got your back, you got my back, and we had your back, and then you just left us high and dry, and then we find out he's doing other work while and he has bills and a family that he has to take care of.
Yeah,
and I understand that.
The way it was handled was we were lied to. Out the gate.
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation. He's coming back. He just needs to.
And then he never came back.
Then
he came back on. I think he came back on a Sunday, and he cleared his office out.
Yeah. But we did get a text and say, "I'm sure you've heard now, but I did leave," and that type of thing. And
I wasn't in that thread because I probably would have said some explicits.
I'm sure you would have. But I told him thank you for everything that he did for me. And I understand why he left. I wish him the best.
I have no ill will towards him. I have very minimum respect for him.
But you had different interactions with him in general in the first place.
Yes, we did. We had very different
towards
interactions.
the end when he was getting more stressed and I didn't technically work under him anymore. I worked for my boss.
And he hated when you said that.
I know. We had a couple run-ins because I would be doing what my boss told me to do.
Right. And
he would try to, I'm not going to say undermine because that's not the correct term. He would try to tell me the way that he wanted it done. And one time I had to tell him like, hey, look, I respect you, but I do not work for you. And I cannot be caught in between because he had one conversation with me one time. I don't know what you're trying to do, trying to wedge me and your boss.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that conversation.
I told him, I was like, I don't know why you're getting that idea because I'm definitely not doing that.
Probably because he had a guilty conscience.
Well, that's true. But weeks down the road, we had a confrontation because he was yelling at me for something because I had to go out of town. And he's like, no, I need you to do this, blah, blah, blah. You got to do this. And I told him, I was like, look, I respect you, but I don't work for you. If you have a problem, you have to talk to my boss. I'm doing what he asked me to do.
Right.
And I let my boss know, like, hey, this is what just happened. I handled it as professionally as I could.
The strife had nothing to do with you, but you were definitely the person who was getting the wrong.
I got yelled at a lot at the company.
I yelled at you all the time.
Yeah, well, that's true, but it didn't mean anything because you were beneath me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, you wonder why I threw that piece of glass at you that one time.
That's true. You did
try
to kill me.
You did really?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Wow. It was non-lethal. It was the edges. I had like a handful of them, and I was like, even if it hits him, it'll break against his head. But if you had your PPE on, your personal protection,
which I did at the time, except for my shoes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I threw some glass at him a couple times. I knew it wasn't going to hit him, but it was going to scare the crap out of him.
Yeah.
He needs that.
It was like drop a plate on the ground just to scare somebody.
Right, yeah.
You have 100 plates, you could lose one.
So I'm getting this feeling that we don't like Bill.
No, we don't like Bill.
And we don't like Frank either. But
well, that's kind of the vibe that we're getting right now. No,
I love Frank now. Frank's a really good friend. There's a bit of animosity that still resides because I think everything I'm saying is correct.
No, I mean, it is because, I mean, for your perspective, there's other individuals that we worked with that would say the same thing. Like, you don't work, you don't do anything.
Oh, my line started telling me the same thing. And then I realized that when you come to a point in management and you're running people, they're like, no one likes the boss. No one likes, and you don't even have, like, I never tried to be like, I'm the boss or anything like that. I was just like, hey, I've been told to do this by my superiors, and they all knew that I outranked them as far as seniority of how long I was there, and what I knew how to do, because they were always like, how do I do this? And I was like, this is how you do that. So I tried to be buddy, but at the end of the day, I'd go to those meetings, I'd walk through all the other lines.
Right.
And then they're like, all he does is walk away with a clipboard and stuff, and it's like, I have notes on what we're doing, where we're at.
Yeah,
and
you received.
I didn't have my own personal clipboard carrying person. Well, you did, and that's what really made me mad.
Well, and I get that, but
I don't know if it was jealousy. It might have been jealousy.
It might be a little bit, but it's one of those things. Like, it's really hard to explain to people. I have a pretty good friend of mine that I've worked with at other places now as well. Mm-hmm. He still to this day says that I never did anything.
I agree. Do I know this guy?
Huh?
Do I know this guy?
No, you don't. Oh, but the thing is that, like, you guys don't, specifically him. He ended up getting fired from Eagleview at a certain point because another terrible thing about Eagleview, he was going to go to school. He worked it out with them.
Oh, how dare you?
Yeah, he worked it out with them, and then they needed to trim some fat, so they said all the part-time workers were going. And he's like, I'm starting school next week. You guys told me I could. We've already worked out my schedule. And then they started saying, oh, well, he did it to himself. He fired himself because he wanted to go to school. So
they told us a couple of times, like, yeah, there's not really tuition reimbursement, but they were like, yeah, they could possibly, as long as it's in the field that we're in.
Yeah, they wanted you to go into manufacturing or engineering.
Yeah, and he was just, we can't even do that when you try to get an AA.
Right.
Because he was young, wasn't he?
Yeah, somewhat. He wanted to go to be a mechanic.
That would have helped the company.
Right, yeah. So anyways, But he says all the time, like, you didn't do anything all those years. But he knew because I trained him. I trained him how to do everything. And I trained him to be my successor for a while.
Right. Well, that's one of those, like, you have the knowledge, but you don't do any of the work.
Well,
that's like, that's cool. You can read a book pretty good.
Well, no, because I mean, I was there when we created a lot of it.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, I mean,
you know the policies, procedures, and why they're.
I could walk over there right now and put a window together faster than the people that are probably doing it at the new company that somebody else started.
Yeah, I could too.
Over there. Yeah,
but if I went in there, I'd have a hammer.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't take out any of their products, but I would definitely take out their front door, and I'd give a certain individual who is now running it again a particular digit you have on your hand. I'd give them one of those.
I wouldn't go that far, but.
Well, I have another. We'll talk about that like after the show.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it in the after show. No, but yeah. Anyways, he would tell me all the time like I didn't do anything, and so he didn't know specifically him in general the times that I stuck up for him because they were going to let him go at other times. And I said, no, he's got potential.
Oh, so you saved his hide a couple times.
Yeah, but I'm not the type of person that's. I mean, I'll do it jokingly for sure. I used to fake fire people daily.
Yeah, you tried to fire me. I was like, you don't even work in this building anymore.
Like, hey, we're gonna have to let you go. That was my favorite line because I would do it so serious, and a lot, especially new guys, be like their first day. I'm like, hey, did you get any like equipment? And they're like, yeah, I just got the tape measure. I'm like, yeah, I'll take that.
And honestly, Frank, that would make me hate you.
Yeah,
right to begin with.
I know a lot of people did because I tried to be funny all the time, and some people saw it.
It wasn't perceived as funny. You thought it was funny. You thought it was hilarious. We could tell after the fact.
Yeah,
we just thought you were this terrible human being.
But the best part was when some of the other employees would get in on it. I'd be like, hey, go stand by the door, and they're like, yeah, and they go stand by the door and just like fold their arms and wait, and I'd be like, hey, I don't want to have to start anything. We're gonna have to walk you out.
What a jerk.
Yeah, but some of the guys,
that's awesome.
Towards the end especially, knew when I would be joking. I got one of our guys that worked in shipping for a while. I got him to think that we actually got bought out by Disney and we're going to start selling plush toys. Totally believed it.
Who? Tell me after, but I got to know who the heck that was.
He's Jewish. Okay, so...
I can't think of it. Oh, well, like I said, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
I think I know who it is, but if it is, I'll be like, that's messed up.
Yeah, he really believed
child.
me for yeah.
Okay, yeah,
he really believed me for quite some time. It was really great because I got other people involved too.
I hope he sees this and he finds out where you live and just comes and like beats the crap out of you.
No, we were cool.
You crushed my Disney dreams.
Everybody knew that I was joking, just trying to lighten the mood because it was a stressful place, especially towards the end.
Yeah, shipping had it rough towards the end of it too.
Yeah, I trained several different managers to run it so that I could go back to doing my other job, which I was doing at the same time. At the very end, that's a good point because I forgot to bring this up already. At the end, within the last year and a half, I had gone to 8 different departments.
I thought we only had like 4.
No, like as far as in the office and like.
Oh yeah, we had to go anywhere and everywhere for one reason or another.
They either had let the person go that was running it, and I went over to fix it, put processes and procedures in place.
Was that your current overseer at the time was telling you to do that because he knew you could handle it, or
Before him.
Oh, okay.
When I took over the service department, and they basically cleaned house almost, and then they brought us in. I brought Jason in from the warehouse, and he worked with me in the office, and we cleaned it up and got it running. January of 2019.
Okay.
I started working for my boss who had just started in November of 18. Excuse me. November of 18.
Gross.
He came in and he hired me in January to work for him specifically in the office. I was kind of on loan.
Yeah, I remember the loan procedure.
Before I went into service, I had went to 8 different departments.
Okay.
And put processes and procedures in place.
I never saw you in mine.
And train. Well, because you didn't need it.
That's right.
Right. And fixed things and got things in order. And yeah, shipping was really messed up. We changed our business model and went to distribution instead of local, straight to builder. So it was different.
There's so many reasons why we failed.
Yeah, there was a lot of reasons.
Everything. I feel like all their ideas were good ideas, but they're all half baked. It's like you didn't really think this. Like it sounds good in theory, but you never thought it all the way through to make sure that it's going to succeed.
I mean, if you think about it, even at the end, after some people had already left and different things, the people that were running certain places, they would be like, "All right, guys, what's our ideas? What can we do?" And we would give them the ideas, and they would be like, "All right, sweet, I like them," and then they would go and perpetrate it as their own some. Because I was loyal to my boss, and I still am somewhat loyal to him in general. But
it felt like us being lower tier than the upper managers that we had, we were more loyal to the company than they were. Like they were trying to get their last dollar. We're just trying to make sure, like, I want to keep my job, but
we
I like this
legitimately
company.
cared.
Yeah, we cared about the company, and for no reason we shouldn't have.
That was one of my struggles that I had to deal with afterwards. Is that like I'm a really loyal guy. If I'm your friend, I'm your friend, and if I work for you, I work for you. Like
I'm the same way. It's burned me more times. Like if I'm not going to change my personality, like who I am inside, because I got burned a couple times.
Yeah, and
just hope the next guy doesn't do it, or the next girl, or the next.
It's true.
employer.
It's tough. It's a tough thing to deal with, and like I really struggled with it.
There's be like one person that watches this and be like, he's always been a jerk to me. Wait, hang on. I'm like, no, I just didn't like you.
Right. Well, I mean, there's been people that have told me that they didn't like me, and one of the individuals that we were talking about before that I didn't see eye to eye with him. He's up with Jason right now. If that clarifies it for you.
I knew who it was.
We ended up becoming pretty good friends towards the end. We worked together much closer, and we had a lot of in-depth talks.
It's always the game of telephone. It's like, so-and-so said this about you and said this, that you said that. And it's like,
and he was on the receiving end.
Does that sound like something I would say?
Right. He was on the receiving end of that misinformation about me, which a lot of people were a lot of the times, because I was accused of being a butt kisser a lot of the times. I was accused of being
were you not?
a liar. I was accused of being a bunch of different things.
Well, were you a butt kisser?
No, I wasn't.
The correct term is a brown noser. I believe.
That's what I was accused of quite a bit.
He could definitely tell you what his bosses had for lunch 3 days prior to. He had a list.
No, but like I said, when I work for you, I work for you. I'm loyal to a fault. My wife will tell you that.
Right.
So like when my boss would tell me to do something, I would do it. Now I got more of a backbone in the last few years, and I would tell them, like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should do this based on my experience.
Right.
And that's when I started to.
You had like to stand on that point.
Right. I really was able to get more into my management role in that way, because I could say, like, no, if you want us to try it, we can try it, but I know that this is going to work, and I would explain it to them. And sometimes they would be like, all right, we'll try it your way. And 90% of the time it would work. But that
was from hands-on experience. Like, the functionality, like how a window is made and everything. It's like, it'd work better if we cut this one process out,
right?
Or we like bored holes in a different part of the window. Like, it would just sit better. It would look better. And that from making it from scratch.
Right. I mean, like the glazing bead.
Right. I heard about the 45s.
We used to cut 45s to put it in.
I never had to deal with that. I think you guys got rid of that right when I got there.
Right. When the one manager showed up, he listened to me when I was like, hey, we need to do it this way. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, most companies do.
The house I live in now has
glaze.
Eagle View window doors, like windows and doors in it, and they have 45s in the corners. You came over, you saw.
Yeah. We had those for a long time, and it was really annoying. The process was slow. We did some time studies, and I proved my point that if you did them straight and overlapped, if you did it correctly, it looked good, and it was done in less than half the time it would take to do the 45s.
Right.
And we increased our numbers almost
over
double.
Yeah, it was just over double. Because I remember at one point our high, we got like 308 windows out in a day, like completed windows.
Within a week, we were steadily, continually producing over double what we were before.
Right.
With that, and I implemented that. It was something that I suggested when we first.
I can barely hear you over you patting yourself on the back.
No, it's like, because I knew I had the experience, and I knew I had been talking about it for years, and I kept being told no and no, and finally I got somebody to listen to me that let me do the time studies and prove my point. And then they took it and ran with it. I wasn't at the place at that point in time where I could actually implement it and do it. They took it and they ran with it. I did get the credit for it, but still, it was things like that where it's like, if you listen to somebody that has good ideas.
Well, the way we set up our door line? So we had the glass line and the door line next door. That whole design was, I talked to in the bar, and it was a bunch of managers, and then there was me. It was just because I was Jason's right hand man and stuff, and we were buddies. I think I was gonna run home at that point, and I said it, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." And I was like, I'm just saying it'll work." And then he was saying this, that there's like, you got to change that angle like by 45 degrees, and it'll work perfectly. And he tried it his way, and it didn't work, which is 90% of my setup anyway. And then he tried it my way, and it worked flawlessly. And the whole setup worked, and he was like, "Oh, okay, that's definitely your idea. I haven't been in this industry for 35 years." I'm like, "Well, you clearly weren't thinking about it." But I was always, I spoke my mind a little too often, and then there's alcohol involved. That was always fun.
It took me a while to get to where I could stand up for myself and have my opinion, and live by
It'd be validated. Like someone would actually listen to you. Because I do that. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like I like this purple hat is my favorite. It's the best hat ever. And you're like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is.
Right. It's
versus being like, oh, here's a study and I have put the time in. That's why this color is better. Like that kind of thing. I get what you're saying, but I'm just
so it's
the Irishman thing again.
Yeah, it's a lesson that I learned. Like always listen to people. So like whether there are people under you or lesser than you or whatever,
everyone can teach.
Everybody
you something.
has an idea. So I always listen to what somebody has to say, and then I'm willing to test it out. You know,
even when you know it's a bad idea, you let them like, all right, you know what, this is your idea. I've been asking for ideas, or I can't wrap my head around it. We'll see. Like it's not going to work. We're like, well, you need to do this to realize it's not going to work, so you don't think that I didn't listen to you. You've tried, and it's been proven that it does not work. It's
very true. Like me and Josh have had a couple, very few differences of opinions with editing or like doing different things, and he'll show me. He'll be like, hey, this is what I was thinking. And I'll be like, hey, I really like that. And he'll take my idea and expand on it and go with it. Or I listen to his idea and we both enjoy it and we'll go with it. But then there's sometimes where he'll show me something like, that's not really what, I thought it was going to be. But then he can take it and do it.
And then I'll scream and throw my computer around like a little girl. And
that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do the same thing.
You can see that, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it paints a picture, really. No, but yeah, so... if I could say one sentence about Eagleview, I want you to think about what you would say. We'll bleep it out. But no, if I could say one thing, it was a journey that at times I wish I had never gone on.
It's like it's a small world. You got to go on it, but you wish you didn't. And when you want to experience it,
but the lessons that I learned,
they're invaluable. You need them.
100% invaluable, and I will carry them for the rest of my life, good and bad.
Yeah, you can see red flags a lot clearer now.
Yes, I understand good management, bad management, good work ethic, bad work ethic. I understand.
You understand good work ethic?
Oh my God!
Is it because you've seen it? Because I know you've never done it.
Okay,
I was curious if Frank was still on his one sentence.
That was a very long one sentence.
That was my one sentence.
That would not have flown in like third grade English.
I did but, and I did the motion like a comma, but.
We call that a run-on.
It kind of reminded me of that scene in The Office whenever Michael Scott's like, well, I'll tell you how it is, David. Whenever, no matter where you are or who you're with, and it goes on for like 10 minutes.
I tend to start a sentence, and then I don't really know where I'm going, but I know I'll eventually find it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's really it. There's highs and lows, and it's just, you got to learn from it.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely attest to that. There's a lot. I learned a lot from people that I worked with closely. Like me and Jason were pretty good friends, and at the start of it, and me and him butted heads a lot at work. And I think that honestly helped us stay better friends, but also like bring each other up in the company and stuff like that. We definitely need different experiences to grow.
Right, definitely. I mean, there was like Jason and you, for instance, there was times where we had to rely on each other because we were the only ones we could trust.
Right.
So that put aside all of the indifferences and things like that. We were able to become good friends. And
we had a common enemy, the numbers.
Right, the numbers. We were able to work through it, and that really.
I think the funniest thing was when Jason went in the office with you for a while, and I was running the show in class, and he came back out, and no one really knew. Like 2 people knew who he was, but I think I had like 4 or 5 people.
Rid of a lot of people,
and they didn't really know like why he was out there. He's like, oh. And I never addressed it. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, you're taking the reins back. That's fine. I was never really given the position on paper anyway. He came back and he was like, no one's listening to me. I was like, make a statement. Tell them why you're here. Because he would tell people to do stuff and then they would go ask me if they can do that. And I was like, yeah. He said to do it, right? I was like, yeah, whatever he says, do it. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. But they were following that hierarchy of command. And I was like, that's so good. It made me feel good inside too. Because it's like they think that you run the show. I was like, man, I kind of do.
Yeah. Well, there was some guys like that. Like I would come out of the office and like by the assembly line, and I'd come up and I'd be like doing something, and they'd be like, "Who are you?"
It's like, oh, and he didn't know who you were. It's like, I can run circles around you right now.
Well, so. I gotten to the point, and if I wasn't pretentious before, I'll be pretentious now. I got to the point where other people would tell somebody who I was. I didn't have to say anything, and that was a good feeling. It made me very cocky. But it was a good feeling.
I don't think you've ever not felt cocky.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But it made me feel valued.
Right. By your peers,
by my
not
peers.
by the people that are like pay your paychecks. Like, oh yeah, wait, that's why he's in that place. Like, no, the people around me know like what I can do and what I bring to the table.
Right. And so that also helped me, though. It helped me be able to train, because I trained a lot of those people, and then it helped me be able to run it, because like the people that would be tagging along with me or anything like that, I
Your
trusted
clipboard carriers.
I trusted them, and I could be like, hey, we got to get this done. And they knew that, yeah, okay, they had to go do it, but if they ran into a problem, they knew that they could still approach me and come say, hey, I got a problem, and then I could fix it.
I try to be minimal on the buddiness, but also realize like, hey man, I'm in this just like you are. Like we're all in this crap together.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'm outrank you, but it's only because I've been here longer. Like if you want my job, take it from me.
We had a GM at one point that was let go at a certain point of time that I was accused of brown nosing quite a bit with. But
I mean, I guarantee that was probably factual.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, he was let go. He gave me a piece of advice once when I was working my way back up.
Can you do it in like an accent so I know who it is?
No.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it yet.
But no, he told me when I was working my way back up, trying to get back into management or whatever, he told me that he said there's really a time to be buddy with somebody and be friends. There's a time to be in charge. He said there's a difference in being assertive and being too hard. So he told me, don't be, over the top and be a yelling, screaming boss, which we had at times.
Oh yeah, I was like, first
be assertive and stand on your point. And so I took it and I was able to use it and that's when I really started trying to work on my backbone, because I realized that I was soft and I just was like, yes sir, I'll do what you want, kind of thing. And that's why I was accused of brown nosing and things like that. But that really helped.
There was a lot of other reasons, but yeah, I can.
Oh my gosh, yes. But at the end of the day, we all have respect for each other, and we know what we went through, and it sucked and it was terrible. There's days where we regret it for sure.
Oh yeah.
And
you need the experience though. You need the good times and the bad, and like the crap like that, so you can grow.
And there was times
grow as
where
a person, both of them.
Yeah, and there was a time that I was very angry at Bill. I still am angry at Bill, but there was times where I dealt.
That'll go to my one sentence that I have for how I would wrap up.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Go ahead.
You're gonna have to bleep it.
Tell me your one sentence. Go ahead. All right, lots of bleeps.
We'll do it.
It's very true. But real quick before we end it, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
for
for
talking
having
about
me.
this. I'd love to have you back on again. We can get into some more stuff. But I definitely appreciate it.
Make sure we really talk about that top 10 thing.
Yeah,
because that was fun.
We'll preface it. But one piece of advice, real quick: don't trust sorry people. Thank you. This is the To Be Frank podcast. Peace.